Welcome to episode 59 of the Lovoni and Sarah podcast, where we chat weight loss, health, well-being, share recipes, and set weekly challenges. We encourage each other to lose weight, become stronger, and squeeze a little more juice out of life. And we share our stories to let you know you're not in this alone. I'm Lovoni.
And I'm Sarah. And on today's episode, we're talking about Ikigai, a Japanese philosophical term referring to something that gives your life meaning, value, and purpose. It's the place where your needs, desires, and ambitions and satisfaction meet, a place of balance. It's a feeling of accomplishment and fulfillment that follows when people pursue their passions.
Okay, I didn't know of Ikigai until Sarah clued me in. So I did, a deep dive into it. In short, Ikigai encourages people to discover what truly matters to them, to live a life fulfilled with purpose and joy. Ikigai's four primary elements are what you love, so that's your passion, what the world needs, which is your mission, what you're good at, your vocation, and what you can get paid for, your profession.
Yeah.
Now, when these are all in alignment, you're found your Ikigai. At least I think that's how it goes, but we're going to be chatting more about it.
We can talk through it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's kind of a funny moment for me.
How have I not known about this?
Have you never heard of it before until I said?
I can't believe I haven't, because I'm into all that kind of thing. Yeah.
I've known about it for a while now, but it's just funny the timing of this episode, because I'm in a season or a bit of a period of my life. I don't know how we wanted to sort of describe
Very
it.
non-Ikigai.
Yeah, that's not Ikigai at all. So it's kind of quite nice for me to revisit this, and I'll talk you through some of the actual sort of actions that you can do to help work through it and plan it. But I feel a bit lost. I've got a lack of purpose. I've got a real sort of question mark hanging over my head saying what's next. That all in turn, which is natural, but it questions my own value. I'm going to be completely transparent. My eating has been really reflecting how I'm feeling at the moment. So it's not how I want to be doing it, but it is how I seem to be approaching it at the moment. And I guess all of that adds up. And if you had to try and describe that, it's like a bit of a low self-worth sort of feeling, isn't it? You know, when we all have those times. This is kind of it's very up and down. I'm just in that time for a number of reasons. A whole load of things influence that, don't they? And I first visited this sort of Ikigai concept a number of years back. I bought the book back then, which is a beautiful book. One of the authors is Hector Garcia. And I listened to a podcast where he is a guest.
Doesn't sound very Japanese.
I think he's Spanish.
Definitely sounds Spanish. Sorry.
Yeah. So I listened to a podcast where he's a guest on there, and that really helped me too when I was sort of working through it all. But I don't know, do you want me to talk about what I think, or do you want to talk about what you found about it, seeing as you're new to it? It might be quite nice if you...
Well, some of the things that I found that they've linked it, they being, I don't know, some sort of experts out there in the they land.
Yeah.
That Ikigai is closely linked to living longer.
Yes.
And so did we talk about translated? It means a reason for being.
Okay.
Something that gives you purpose, a reason for living. But it can make a difference each day, personally and professionally, because it can give you a sense of fulfillment. And I just think, like, a reason to jump out of bed in the morning. And I think there's so many people that go through life just humdrum, same job, can't wait for the weekend. Just they wish their week away. And I think that's really sad. My mum used to say to me when I was 15, I just wanted to be 18 because I thought life would just be so much easier. Don't wish your life away. And I think so many people do that. Think, if I can just get to the weekend, or if I can just get to where I'm going to have, vacation, some holidays or something. And I think that's really sad. And I think some people might think, well, I'm too old to find what their purpose is, or what their passion is, or their hobbies, or what could fulfill them. And I think you're never too old. You're never too old to build an empire. I'm just finished working on a book where the man's into his 70s and is like now building an empire, which it will be. so you're never too old. And I just think that people need to, as we're chatting about this, think, oh, that doesn't appeal to me. That won't help me because I'm stuck in a job. I don't know what I'm good at. Just it makes you, I think, learning about it, for me, I just thought it makes you stop and think that, what are you good at? Like,
Yeah.
what, and everybody's good at something. And
Oh
then
yeah.
how do you turn that into a passion and,
Well, it's interesting because listening to
get
Hector
fulfilled?
talk, they, in the interview what I was listening to, they were asking him, because a lot of people think, well, you know what, I don't understand why I don't have this sense of fulfillment, because I've got it all. I've got a nice house, I've got the family, I go on some nice holidays every year, but yet why do I still wake up
Something
without that
missing.
feeling of, yes, I'm going to go grab it? And you almost feel guilty for that, because you think, I've got nothing to feel low about or nothing to feel
Right.
flat about. And he, it was interesting, he described the fact that sometimes you can almost try and live your Ikigai as if you were 20 years ago. So one Ikigai, one bit of work that you do on this, doesn't mean that this is a lifelong decision or the way that you work. He said there are a
You could
really,
change.
yeah, there's a really small number of people that are lucky enough to know what their Ikigai is from the moment that they arrive on this planet. And
Right.
so they're Olympians, or they're an amazing piano player,
Musician.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of us are not like that. So it's something that he said there's a real value to revisiting on a regular basis, whether that's once every year, once every 5-10 years, to make it relevant to your life now. Because if you're in your 40s, it's not going to be the same as if you were in your 20s. And there are some things that you can look back on in your life to say, when did I feel that way? When did I feel really content, or felt like I had purpose, or felt like I was ready to go grab life? And there'll be some things that you can bring forward into your current time, but it won't look exactly the same as it did then, because you're not the same person. You don't have the same surroundings and the same opportunities, and everything is different. So that's worth thinking about too. It's just because you've done it doesn't mean, well, this is what it's always got to be,
or that you've even found it.
or you
Some
even know.
people can go through most of their life without
Yeah.
knowing that.
So a
It's never
way,
too late, though.
it's not too late. So a way to try and establish it. So you outlined some of those elements. So he gets you to do this, and he says, please do it. Don't treat a self-help book as something that you read and put on the shelf. This is actually something, if you take some action from some of these things that you're reading or learning about, they will make a difference to your life, but you do have to do them. You can't just, say, oh, that's nice, and then, then move on. So
Right.
he says, get a piece of paper and draw 4 circles on the piece of paper. Did you hear this? So
Intersections.
yeah, and so one of them, you write the title, What I Love Doing. So don't
Yep.
start filling it in, just write that title. In the second one, you write the title, What Am I Good At?
Yep.
In the third, what can I do to make money? What can I make money at? And in the fourth, what the world needs. And he said, now those last 2 can sound kind of big, but what can I do to make money at? Yes, your job might well be something that you do every day, but there may be other things too, so there may be
Like a
things that,
hobby.
a hobby that you can make some money out of. And he gave an example of bread. If you love making bread and you enjoy it, but maybe you could make some more bread, and maybe you could go and
Go to a
sell that at a
market or
local
something.
market on a Saturday. So this doesn't have to be a complete career change where you think, well, I can't leave my job because I've got my bills to pay, and all of this, I've got responsibility. We're not saying suddenly run away to a Greek island or
But you
something,
never know where it might lead.
you just don't know. So that's in that section. And what the world needs can feel large, can't it? You just think, I can't save the world. But he said, helping people around me, that's enough. Kindness, that's enough, because the world needs those things. So you can start to add in some of those. It doesn't have to be big life-changing events for everybody. But he said, you may not have instant answers for each of these circles, and
No,
that's
and that's
fine.
okay.
You write them down and then you leave them there. And he said, you'll
Right.
be having a shower and something will occur to you like, oh, I'm going to write that in that circle. Or, oh, I know that I'm doing something and I don't actually think it fits with any of these things. So make a note of
Mm.
that too, because you're going to start to make a bit of a list of things that you need to start to eliminate from your life as well to help you deliver your Ikigai. And then once you've started to do this exercise, it becomes a tool. And then you can just keep that with you. So when you start to come across decision making in your future, you can then call back on your sort of Ikigai process to then think, okay, which one of these boxes does it fit, or circles does it fit in? Does it fit in one of these circles? Does it support my journey to working towards what I actually want to do? And then of the four, you'll find these common themes, won't you? You'll find things that pop up. So does it come up saying, I'm a people person? You know, I love doing this. I'm good at this. I can make some money out of this. It helps the world. I'm a people person. So what am I going to do with that? Or it could come up, I really dislike being around people. I like keeping myself to myself. So you can then think, I think I need to think about how I work or
There
where
might
I
be a
work, or
craft or a hobby or
it
something.
could be
Yeah.
anything. So
Yeah.
that's a real basic approach to how
Mm-hmm.
you start to work this out. Have you done that? Have you started to think about your circles?
Well, yeah, in doing, all the research for this and
Mm-hmm.
reading about it, I I think that I'm pretty close with mine as far as,
Great.
what I do is my passion and I guess also my hobby.
Yeah.
But and what I am and then looking back in the past, the thing that I love the absolute most that I've done with my career
Mm-hmm.
was have a television show. I
Mm-hmm.
loved that. I loved the feedback I got from people. I just enjoyed it. I like
Mm-hmm.
being in front of a moving camera, not so much still one. But anyway, and the fact that I'm now working on content to finally put my a YouTube channel together,
Yeah.
and I'm excited about it. I thought, yeah, there's going to be a learning curve because I'm doing the videoing and the editing and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the other stuff I've done, the technical stuff, I think, okay, yeah, it might take me a while, but I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
The first ones might not be good for like as good as the 60th one, but
Yeah. And that's the thing, you
that's
can't have a
that's how
fear.
you learn.
Don't have the fear
Yeah.
of starting, isn't it?
Right. And I'm really quite excited about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I still have to keep doing my work because bills
Of
have to be
course.
paid.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would like it to, then, go further. And yes, I'm offering people something because I'm cooking and showing them, the idea that I have is, I think, going to be helpful to people,
Mm-hmm.
especially as we've talked about, whole foods and making things from scratch and people getting back in the kitchen and I think there's a lot of people out there that cook for maybe one or two people that don't need recipes,
Yeah.
for a big family. So I kind of want to focus on that. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it covers all of those things, and that wasn't my intention. But in reading all of this, I think, yeah, that's
That's
kind of where
great.
I'm going,
Yeah.
and then still do some work until whereas I don't
Yeah.
have to. So I heard this quote the other day, and it was from Paul Newman. Paul Newman, the
Mm-hmm.
actor,
Mm-hmm.
most gorgeous man on the planet. At one when he was a beautiful man,
He
I have to
was.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was it, and so the quote is, "If you have an area of excellence, rich can be arranged." And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that is good.
That's
Now,
very good.
going into this, no, you may not want to necessarily be rich. I'd like to be, but to just, be comfortable. And if you can
Have
make
enough.
some money
Mm-hmm.
off it and it's something that you love to do. So I guess it's finding your excellence. And maybe you don't know that, but I think, like you were saying about drawing the circles down and stopping to have a think about this. And I'm going to keep saying this. It doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 80, you
Mm-hmm.
could be 20. You're never too old to do it. But I think
Definitely not.
um finding your purpose, so the Ikigai purpose isn't necessarily a quest Like, it's like, okay, I've got to decide today. Like you were saying, you feel a bit,
Yeah.
lost. And I think that there's probably a lot of people that do, that they just think, oh, I thought I was doing this one thing and that's sort of not working out.
There's
So,
different, I think there's different
yep.
influences. There's, as your age, that definitely influences
Mm-hmm.
things. Not that and I totally agree with you. It doesn't stop you doing anything, but it might
Right.
change your perspective on things a little bit. Think, okay, I'm now of an age where I don't want to do it that way anymore. Or I don't,
Mm-hmm.
different things. Life influences. So, as your children, for those people that have them, get older and then they, start to do their thing a bit more independently, that very much changes your home requirements and your lifestyle, because you might have been doing it one way for 18, 20 years, whatever, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you start to do it another way. Even work, people find themselves in a job that changes, or if you work for yourself, things change. So a lot of it is external influence, which
Mm-hmm.
then calls upon you to suddenly sort of dig deep again and go, okay, so what does it look like now? But what I would urge people to do, which is what I definitely feel that I'm feeling like now, is you see it as an opportunity rather than something which is something to try and hang on to the old way of life.
Right.
Because this opportunity gives you so many different versions of what you could be and what you could do. And as you say, this doesn't have to be, chucking your job in and doing something completely different. This could be a hobby that then suddenly really goes somewhere that
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, let's imagine you join a singing group, okay? You meet a load of new people for a start. That will then open doors as well, because your social interactions will change potentially. You won't get on with everyone, maybe, but you've got opportunities there. Maybe they arrange events that you then go to, so then that broadens your horizons with your travel and your arrangements. There's so many things and opportunities that come from doing something new or adding something to your life, that I
Mm-hmm.
think if you just give yourself that breathing space to start to think about, okay, so what is it that I love doing? What am I good at? And if someone says I'm not good at anything, I push back. Yes, you are. There is something
Yeah,
that you're good at.
there is something.
There's some people that are really good at organizing and helping people and arrange their homes. There's some people that are really good
Mm-hmm.
at, I don't know, cooking. There's always something
Right.
that you're good at, or listening, or giving advice, or it doesn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be a physical thing as such. There could be a personality trait of yours that you're good at that you could then share. And it's this sort of common middle element, isn't it, that you've got to find, that then brings all of that together, that will
Right.
then influence. And as I've started doing it again, over this sort of last few days this week, I was like, oh, a bit like you, I've been doing a lot of thinking over the last few months and starting to make some changes and things, and without me realizing, and without me doing this exercise of writing it down, I've already started to work towards that as well, because a bit like you,
Mm-hmm.
I've found these common things, and I'm not there yet, but I'm already like, oh wow, I hadn't even realized that I'd
It
started to do
makes you
that.
feel it's uplifting, I
And
think,
it's that, as you
too.
described, when you wake up in the morning, of going, I want to go and do that. I want to go and get started.
Yeah.
And it could be anything. It could be the hobby. You want to get there because it's every Saturday you're going to go and do it, or something at home that you're doing that you want to get your knitting project finished because you want to see how it looks. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be
Right.
huge, but it's something that's important to you. And I think that's difficult, particularly as women, isn't it? I think often we don't give space in our busy days and lives for something that's important to
Some
us, because it's
self-reflection
always important
too.
to get everybody else looked after. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and to find that self-reflection time. And as we've talked about in other episodes, just finding that little bit of time that's about just doing it for you. And I'm completely guilty. I haven't done that for, probably a good couple of months now, but I'm seeing the difference of that. I'm a bit like, oh, I haven't done this for myself or that for myself, which I would have normally done automatically. And I think it does have an effect on you. So taking some time to have a look, then it gives you a bit of a lift, a bit of
Mm-hmm.
inspiration to do something different.
Yeah.
And one other exercise that he talked about is kind of a shorter term thing that's actually quite interesting. He said every day for 15 days, write 3 things about your day that you loved and 3 things about your day that you hated, every day for 15 days. And at the
Okay.
end of the 15 days, he said, you will find a pattern. The things that you hated will often
Just
be
about that particular day.
just about that day, not about any big
I'm
plans
getting
or
my
any
little
big.
book.
Are you going to write
That's
it
what
down?
I want to write that down.
So,
Although, you know, I could ask you. So 15 days,
so
three things you
for
like.
15 days, 3 things
Okay.
every day that you loved about that day, that you loved, so you do at the end of the day, and 3
Yeah.
things that you hated about your day. And
Okay.
then after 15 days, he said, what you can then do is you'll find a common theme in the things that you hated. He said, there will be a common theme. And
Right.
that is what you need to eliminate from your life. So the action is to eliminate that element from your life and make the change. And he said, what you'll then will find is because you've eliminated that from your life, the space that suddenly pops up, you will
Right.
fill with the things that you love, because you've made that conscious decision to move the things out that you dislike, and then you'll have this space and it will be filled with the things that you love. Just 15 days. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. I'm going to start to do that.
Okay, we're going to do that. We need to do
Start,
that.
yeah, we'll start tonight, because why
Okay. All
not?
right.
Today's as
Why
good
not
time
just
as any.
start right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
So
into
tonight
that.
before
That's good.
bed, we write down those 6 things, 3 good, 3 bad. And then at the
Right.
end of the 15 days, we then see what the common themes are.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I'm
there
all
you
over
go.
that.
That's a good exercise for people.
One of the things that some of the things that I had written down here was, where is it? Is that people, and we were just sort of, you touched on this, get stuck in like the busyness and drudgery of life. And so many people are like that.
Just
I'm so
takes
busy, I'm
over.
so busy, I'm so busy. And then they complain about their work and all the rest of it. And um, but if you can, they feel they're stuck. But if you can think about what makes you curious as well.
That's a good
And
point.
you know, there's also, if somebody does think, well, I love doing this, but I don't really know that much about it. I mean, one, the the internet can
There's a
give
library
forth
for
so many
free.
things.
Yeah,
There's a lot
exactly.
of stuff for free. If you wanted to do more, there's things that you can pay and do, either online classes. You don't have to physically go to somewhere. You know, if you do a craft and you think, well, I love doing this, but I don't think it's good enough to sell, then you can maybe watch some YouTube videos or whatever to see how to maybe do it better,
I would
or
definitely say,
do
I
it,
say YouTube
practice,
videos
practice.
is free. I taught myself how to
Yeah.
do finger crocheting the other week.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Just
well
because I'd never
done.
done it before. I was like, oh, trouble is I've got the smallest fingers of all time. Look. So
Right.
trying to crochet on that is not that
Well,
easy. But
at
anyway,
least crochet, at least it's not knitting where you need,
no.
I've
So
done
I
arm knitting before, but I've got very long arms.
oh,
I've
you're
done
okay.
arm knitting with really chunky wool and made blankets.
Well, this
And it
was
looks
quite,
just like you've made
yeah, this was
done it up
quite
from
chunky
needle.
wool. And so it just showed you how to finger crochet, and then you make
Right.
those little spaces. So just for fun, because I bought a ball of really cheap wool in Aldi, and I was like, I'm going to take that home. Don't know what to do with it. I think
And
it
do
cost me,
some finger crocheting
so
with
I think I
it.
paid 80 pence for it. And then I thought, I'll have a go at that. And so I have, and it was quite fun, and it was for free. It cost me 80p for the wool.
Right.
I enjoyed having a little go. So there's all sorts of things that you could do. I think we've talked about fear before, and I think fear is a
Oh,
big
yeah, that holds so many people
blocker,
back.
a back. Even
Yes.
if, do you know what? I'm sure there'll be people thinks, oh, I won't even do that writing down exercise because I don't know how to do it properly, or I'm a bit scared. What, so they wouldn't even do
Nobody's going to
drawing the
mark
circles.
it.
No one's going to see it. This is just for
Yeah.
you, just for you. And so
Yeah.
you must not let fear put a brick wall in between you and doing these things. So
Right.
just do it, just write those things down, and then you'll find that all these things will go for a walk and something will pop into your head, or having a shower and it'll pop into your head. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would
You
say
know
that
why
that's
things pop
important.
into our heads so much when we're in the shower? Because there's no device or anything, any external
When
thing
the only time
around.
you're
I
actually
do that.
silent.
Yeah. That, and when I'm walking too, I often think of things.
Yes.
But yeah, that's why. But like, yes, work at it. See, that's the thing that I need to remind myself, because I'm very excited about my YouTube channel and what I want to do. But I'm the sort of person where if I do something and I don't get it right first go, I get very frustrated.
Right.
So I just, I need to work at it. Or the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I do on my website, I didn't know that,
Mm-hmm.
so, coding and stuff like that. I didn't know that. I taught myself that. So,
Well, it's like the patience
you know,
episode we did, wasn't it? And
right.
perfection episode. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to. It's not. You don't have to have it to be perfect. And I'm the same on
Right.
some of the things that I'm doing with my work now. And I look at.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good to look at other people to see how they do it, but also then I get a bit pressured, thinking, "Oh, theirs is really good and mine's not."
Right.
I'm like, you know
Right.
what? Just start, and
Go
you
back and look at
will
their first one and you'd
exactly.
see.
You will get there.
Mm.
I thought just very briefly before we sort of finish up what we're talking about today, I did then also think, how does my Ikigai feed into my health and wellness journey? Because, and I then sort of thought, genuinely, and I haven't been very good at this, and I'm going to be honest about that because I just haven't had, I don't know, I just haven't had the drive or the mental space to be able to do it at the moment. But when I get a handle of my health, like we're both saying, and you're doing really well with, with your exercise and all that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to help support and feed my Ikigai, my
Mm-hmm.
dreams, my ambitions. Everything will be so much more supported by me looking after my health. And
Right.
so this is then how it then feeds into that as well, isn't it? So when you're writing all of these things down about what you love, what you're good at, what you can make money at, and what the world needs, underneath all of that is the word you. Me. I am each one of those circles. I'm not doing
Mm-hmm.
this for someone else. I'm not thinking about all the times, as you just said, we always think about everybody else in our lives. This is
Yeah.
just about you. And with that is our own health. And if we can look after our own health, and I can get stronger and healthier and eat well and drink my
There's no
water.
if, it's when, Sarah. When.
Yeah. When.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. When I do that. And even if I just do it a bit more than yesterday, what each
Mm-hmm.
one of those steps, like we said, it's not perfectionism. It's going to help me deliver my Ikigai. It's going to help me deliver what I want for my life. It
Yeah.
isn't the sole part of my life. And that's really useful as well, because we can get so blimmin' super focused on being this new version of ourselves. No, forget that.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing is looking after our health to help us deliver these things. So I think if we can then see that as the foundation to all of that, I don't know what you think, but that's how I see it.
Yeah. And I think one feeds the other. And it's not all going to come together immediately.
No.
You have to stick with it. But I think, you finding your Ikigai, me finding it, gives me a lift. And when you're feeling uplifted,
Mm-hmm.
you want to take better care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
So I think, one feeds the other.
Yeah. And I think
It's just a good
it's important
combination.
to remember that you're never the only one that feels like this. You can really get into that mindset, can't you? Thinking, oh my gosh, I'm the only one that's feeling lost, or I'm the only one that doesn't know what my Ikigai or what my purpose is, or I'm the only one that's really not focusing on my health as I should be, and all those sort of things. Never.
But then
You're
that's
never
called,
alone.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
reason
no,
we're
you're not.
the
And
reason we're
don't
doing this is the
beat
fact is
yourself up.
we're sharing and being really honest about our
Mm-hmm.
journeys and our
Yeah.
mindsets and how we're feeling at the moment. Is for this, this group. It's a virtual group. We don't get to see the people that are listening to
Right.
us, but we know that you're there, and we totally see you, feel you, the fact that we know that you are likely at some point feeling the same thing, and you're
Mm-hmm.
never ever the only one that does, ever.
No.
And so I think that's also really valuable, isn't it, to remember that we all at some point have these struggles, and we all have these moments where we
Mm-hmm.
feel like we need to kind of refocus, sort of, set the tone for ourselves.
But just remember, life's too short not to follow like a dream and your passion, and
Mm-hmm.
not to be frightened. The universe will take care of you.
Don't be
Not
scared.
to be scared. Yes.
And go
And
find your Ikigai. It's exciting.
go and
Isn't it
find your
exciting?
Ikigai. I'm excited about this. So 15 days, Sarah, we'll have to check back
Yes,
in.
absolutely.
On next week's episode, we have special guest Thea Duncan Parando, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably not saying Thea's last name correctly. Anyway, she's
She'll tell us.
absolutely delightful. She's originally from the US. She now lives in Italy, and has a company helping people fulfill their dream of living in Italy. We're talking with Thea about the differences in food cultures between Italy, the US, and the UK. Grocery stores, meals, dieting, the value of good food, and sacred food moments where time spent preparing food, it's sitting down, eating it with friends and family, not just going through a drive-through and then snarfing down something in your car in minutes. Anyway, we're really looking forward to what Thea has to share with us there.
Really are. Be sure to visit lovoniandsarah.com for show notes on today's episode, and see below for the links to connect with us on Instagram and our YouTube channel, where you can listen and watch us. We hope this podcast makes you want to look further into Ikigai and to stop and think about what changes you can make to your life. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye for now. Bye.
Bye for now.